this. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our first ever cooking show from Better Choices. Dawn, I am really excited to be doing this with you.
I know, me too. And we'll see if we can pull it off with all the technology involved here tonight. So we are just getting set up because we're going to be sharing it on several platforms. And if you're joining us live, we're happy to have you. And if you're not, you can see it later. But it's National Eat Right Day is why Pam and I decided to do this today. So hopefully you've been eating right today. We're celebrating that. And part of eating right to us is eating a lot of vegetables. I've been doing a challenge all week about adding a salad to your day in terms of lunch. And so Pam and I are going to each cook a different meal tonight that each has a lot of vegetables, different ones, but you're going to get to see what we're going to do tonight. So we're happy to have you. And Pam, you look like you're all set up. I better get set up.
I know. I was trying to make sure that we could see everything. I want to make sure that you guys get to see everything that we do. Obviously, we did a little prep ahead of time. So, you know, it'll take a little bit of time, you know, the chopping of the vegetables and all of that. We didn't do it all, but we did quite a bit of it ahead of time. If you want to save time, you can buy those vegetables, you know, pre-cut, you know, in the stores. You know, sometimes you're working, you need to run, you do need to do something quick. Tell you the nice thing about this meal that I'm going to make, and I know Dawn's is the same way, within a half hour, you have a meal, a healthy but tasty meal that your family's going to like on the table, literally in 20 minutes. It is fantastic. 20 to 30, depending on how quick you are at chopping. Or, like I said, you can buy them chopped up already in the store. Do remember that a little bit of the nutrient value gets lost, but hey, if that's the way you're going to be able to get it done, it's better than not doing it at all and getting those vegetables in. And so Dawn's going to share what she's going to be cooking and what all the ingredients that go into it. And just so you guys know, we're going to post the recipes in the comment section so that you can have the recipe. I'm going to warn you, I think a recipe is a jumping off point. I don't think I ever follow a recipe completely exactly as they tell you to do it. So I'm going to share with you my little changes, and then you can do whatever fits your taste buds, fits your family. And if you guys don't mind, and sometimes I even put it in my foods. I find it relaxes me.
There you go.
All right,
Pam, I'm as set up as I'm going to be on this side of the kitchen. So let's get started.
All right. Well, just one thing I wanted to say real quick too, Dawn, about the Better Choices program. We're kicking off. One thing I brought up about the wine too is one of the things about being healthy is it's moderation too. It isn't like you have to be completely restrictive to yourself. What Dawn and I are going to focus on with the Better Choices program is things to put in instead of what to take out. We're going to what to include and what to enjoy instead of what to deprive yourself of. And you're going to find it's a much simpler, much more enjoyable way to get healthier and age well. Don't you think, Dawn?
Absolutely. So we're focusing on, you know, it's Eat Right Day. So we're not going to be eating a chocolate cake for dinner, right? It's Eat Right Day, but that doesn't mean you can't have chocolate cake. We want to make the point that you want to eat healthy most of the time. About 80% of your food needs to be nutritious food. So yes, I love that approach to it because I don't have to deprive myself. If I feel like eating something, I can. Nothing's off the table, but we're really going to focus on the vegetables that need to go into our body really to be healthy. And that's why a large portion of our meal, both of them different, but we're going to have a lot of veggies. So I got to get to chop it on this side, Pam. If we're ready to get started with the meal.
Well, tell us what you're cooking first, Dawn.
Yeah. So Pam keeps me on track. Isn't that great? How do I do it without you, Pam? I am going to be cooking chicken with squash and Brussels sprouts. And the tie-in for both of our meals is we're just using a sheet pan, like a cookie sheet. And mine's actually covered in parchment paper.
Mine too.
You too. So having a meal where you have a lot of dishes to wash is not something that I'm a fan of. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is kind of like a one pot meal, only it's a one pan meal. So I'm going to be making the chicken with squash and Brussels sprouts. And Pam, I know you're going to be making kind of a pretty simple, but sounds delicious, sweet and sour chicken. So
yes, with no added sugar. That's the cool part too. There's no added sugar to it.
Yeah. So you're going to have the sweet, but no added sugar. So we're going to have protein and veggies. as the bulk of our meal. If you wanted to add to it, you could. I know with my family, sometimes I'll serve some potatoes on the side just because they like to have that. So what I'm doing to cook my meal is really just chopping an onion in very large chunks. So the thing that's important when this is all going to go in the oven is that all of my pieces are relatively similar in size. So Cam, I know you have some things to chop, and I didn't show you this before I dumped it out, but I love to get things that are as ready as they can be in the store. So if I can get the pre-washed lettuce in the bins, I love that. The butternut squash came in this pre-done bin. I don't know if you've ever peeled a butternut squash and tried to chop it from the big size, but it's not so easy. But these are all in pretty good sizes already. And so a lot of them I'll just leave. And the other thing that I'm going to chop for my meal is the Brussels sprouts, really just chopping them in half. So they're fairly large pieces, but the chicken has too.
Well,
So
talking about chopping, Dawn, I chopped almost all my peppers because I have peppers that go in, bell peppers. And
okay.
Dawn was talking too about, how we're going to focus on vegetables. I'm one of those people, I always try to add vegetables. There's a lot of vegetables already in this recipe that I'm going to be doing, but I added more. It called for 2 peppers, a green one and a colored one. I added 2 colored ones and a green one. Called for 1 carrot. I added 3 carrots. I did add celery to it as well, and some other things that I'm going to add as well, not carrot. But I wanted to show you an easy way to cut up peppers. I used to try to core them and then do all the other stuff. Well, all you got to do is cut a pepper down the middle in half and cut it right.
Wait a minute, Pam, I got to see this.
And then you
I want to miss it.
you take a grapefruit spoon. Now you can use any spoon, but a grapefruit spoon has serrated edges, so it makes it even better. And then you just take it and scrape out the middle, just like this. And then, and you guys, I got to tell you something. This works fantastic when you de-seed jalapeno peppers. Just make sure you're wearing gloves when you do that. You see that? It's already clean. Now all I got to do.
Pam, that is such a great time saver idea, because that is something that there's things that you don't like to do. One of the things I don't like to do is peel an onion, clean out a pepper, just because I don't know, it's not that big of a deal, but I guess it seems like it is. But I think the more we can do to make things easier and make things time savers, the better. I'm putting extra vegetables on tonight because I like to have them left over in a salad or, left over as a side dish. So you have to kind of do the recipe the way it works for you. And sometimes that involves a little bit of tweaking things, but I'm really very close to done. All I have to do is make a little sauce that's going to go on my meal. So I've chopped the Brussels sprouts in half. I've made the squash a little bit smaller, just so it's the right size. I've chopped the onion in big chunks. I have some chicken that I'm going to put a sauce on. And so it's pretty easy to make with just a couple tablespoons
Let
of,
me ask you a quick question before you do the sauce.
yeah.
We're talking about vegetables. Do you have a place in town? Because where are you, Dawn? What town are you in?
I am in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so do you have a favorite place to buy vegetables?
No, that's not a town, that's a state, but that's where I am.
Yeah, I know that. I figured that out. Geography was my worst subject, but I did know that was a state. But the reason I was asking is, do you have a favorite place in your town that you like to buy vegetables? Because the quality of your produce makes a big difference if you can't grow it yourself. It makes a big difference. So where do you like to buy your vegetables?
That is so true. So Aldi's is my go-to for a lot of things because the quality is typically really good. There's a grocery store that I have to drive a little bit of a distance to. So I'll stock up on some things called Fresh Time. And then the local Giant Eagle, I can get, a lot of things as well. So I think you have to eyeball it. You can kind of tell if it's not good quality. So you might go one place for your greens because they have really good greens, and then someplace else for the other things that you get. And so you can kind of stock up on onions and potatoes, sweet potatoes, this butternut squash I've had, but things like lettuce, you have to buy more frequently. So it's good to have a close place to get those things that spoil more quickly.
It's funny that you said that too, because I was going to give a shout out to Aldi as well, because that's in West Omaha. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and in West Omaha, that's probably where I found actually the best price produce, but also the best produce I can find. So yeah. And I found even my lettuce does not go bad as quickly. We have a garden, so I usually garden. I mean, usually during the summer, we have all the garden stuff that I'm using, but when I need produce, that's the first place I go. So Dawn, do you stock up? Do you have staples? what I offered for our freebie too in the Get Fit Savvy is you can get pantry staples. Do you have staples? Like, do you keep certain things stocked up in your fridge so you could just grab it when you need it?
Mhm. Not as much in my fridge because again, the spoilage thing, but I keep stir fry vegetables in my freezer, edamame. In the pantry, I have all kinds of beans. I love roasted garbanzo beans,
Oh, yeah.
black beans we had tonight, rice, things like that. And pre-cooked noodles, peanut butter. So I definitely have things that if I need to throw together a really quick 10-minute meal, I can do it. And I
Yeah.
think that's really important to do. But lettuce I've got to buy a couple times a week. Carrots, they last a week. So I think you have to keep that in mind. And then
Yeah.
we go through avocados like crazy. So there's some over getting ripe and there's some in the fridge. So we have to keep the process going, with things like that. So it does take a little bit of thinking ahead and planning ahead to have what you want on hand.
Yeah. And I do a lot of, that's pretty much my weekly it's produce. The weekly trip to the grocery store is the produce to stock up. And I always have certain things. And like the avocado, I did find a good hack and I'll keep avocado fresh longer. And I did find a way to freeze avocado that you can actually, fantastic too. So make sure you check that out. Those will be some of the tips we'll be giving you in the Better Choices, just extra things to help you be as healthy as possible.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not hard, right?
aging.
It just takes a little planning and
Exactly.
information. And Pam and I have a passion for what we do, and we want to get great information to you that's actually useful. And we know it is because we do it. But I have noticed, Pam, that you haven't really done anything on your side over there.
I kind of wanted to explain what I was doing because mine's pretty much chopped. Okay, I did it ahead of time. Sorry. One of the things,
Cheater.
I know I cheated. I really did. But I was also, what I did is I added some new things to it too. I also added, because I'm making a sauce. I'm going to show you how to make the sauce while the vegetables are cooking. But I added some cilantro, and I want to show you something really quick too. Is I always find fresh garlic is so much better. And I added garlic to the recipe, by the way. Garlic's not in the recipe, but I'm going to add it to the sauce because garlic and onions go in everything I cook, pretty much. But I love fresh garlic in this press. So I was going to give a shout out actually to any Pampered Chef person out there too, because I love this press. I've never found a better one than this one to tell you. But you get such great fresh garlic taste. I mean, you can literally, and as opposed to, you can buy the tubes, you can buy, and I do have a jar of minced garlic in my fridge, but the fresh garlic adds so much more flavor. You're going to find your family likes it a lot more if you like garlic. And
when you're buying that one, so make sure that it's really firm.
Yes.
You pick up sometimes the bulb of garlic and it's a little bit squishy. So definitely pick up the firm ones.
Yes, absolutely. But I already put on, so kind of go through what your recipe is and then I'll go through mine because like I said, I already chopped them.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to put mine together. I have chicken that's cut up in cutting the breast in half, and I trim them, the fat that was on them. So what I made as the flavor in the sauce that's going to go on this meal, because chicken is very low fat, vegetables have almost no fat at all. And so you have to use something for moisture and flavor. So we love using hot sauce in our house for flavor. Veggies add flavor, onions, garlic, like you said, Pam, but mustard sometimes can be useful in recipes.
Oh, yeah.
I got, usually this from Aldi's, I got it tonight from a different store, but maple syrup can just give a little bit of sweetness. And I love the bitter, sweet, salty, nutty, taste together.
It's all the taste buds. So Dawn, is that fresh maple syrup?
Well, fresh maple syrup, I mean, it's organic, but I didn't get it out of the tree.
Oh God. I haven't done it either. Might be something I want to try though. Could be interesting. Okay,
No,
put it together and show us how to do it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you again.
That's okay. So it was pretty easy just to stir this. And, I always have mustard. I always have oregano, I always have maple syrup. So again, going back to, if I have to go out to the store and buy 10 things for one recipe, I'm probably not going to make it. But if I just have a few things on hand and I have to get a few things, I like those recipes. So for this one, it says to brush it on, but I'm actually going to use a spoon to kind of sprinkle it over the chicken. It wants about
just a little bit, Dawn, because we can't see the chicken at all.
Okay. So what I've done
How are you doing that?
I put some of that sauce on the chicken, and I do have a brush. I actually rarely use it, but it is better to brush it on because you're not looking for gobs of it. You're just looking for a little bit of flavor. So what I'm going to do is put this on the pan, but let me do one more step, Pam, before.
Yes, definitely show it.
Yeah, so the rest of the sauce goes right into these veggies. So I put the onion, the butternut squash, and the Brussels sprouts all in the same bowl. So it doesn't look like a lot, but it will give enough to coat. It's kind of like if you roast the vegetables in the oven, you want to put some olive oil on. You don't want to drown them. So we're just looking to add a little bit of moisture and a little bit of flavor. And then as it cooks, the natural moisture and flavor will come out of the vegetables. So I'm just giving that a really good stir. And
So as you're doing that, I'll just kind of show a little bit of mine too, then while you're doing that. So
okay.
I've got peppers, colored peppers. And like I said, it didn't call for it, but I chopped up a couple stalks of celery. And then it called for 2 carrots or 1 carrot. Sorry, I did 3 because I think more is good. More is better. Called for a half an onion. And I'm one of those, I don't want to stick an onion in the fridge. So I did the whole onion. It's good for you and I like the flavor. Again, you can alter these however you want. That's the beauty of what we do. But like Dawn was talking about, I'm going to use an avocado oil. And the neat part about it is you can use an oil that gives you the flavor that you want. It calls for about 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it.
And Pam, I was just thinking about something with avocado oil. I think one of the significant things too is not only the flavor, but avocado oil, isn't it one of those that has a higher smoke point? Yes. So that when you're putting it in, like my oven is going to be 425. The olive oil that is not the extra virgin is actually better to use because it has a higher smoke point. You don't want things to burn because of the oil when they're in your oven.
And what I'm doing too is the recipe called for salt and pepper seasonings. I'm going to give you a suggestion is find some seasonings that you really enjoy. I added extra seasonings to the chicken and I actually marinated a little bit in those seasonings. I stuck it in the fridge so it didn't even take on more of the flavor. I love this togarashi. I know it sounds crazy, but I love this togarashi. But there's also a combination, like I love Chocheri's New Orleans Cajun seasoning. I love the flavor of it. If you have a couple of those, like I also like Cavender's Greek seasoning. If you have a couple of those on hand and they're a combination that you like, what ends up happening is you can flavor up your food so much more than just salt and pepper that you can get more flavor. Your family's going to like it better. You're going to enjoy it more. So I added extra seasonings to the recipe as well. Like I told you, I'm doing the garlic as well. I chopped up some cilantro to throw on with the vegetable. Wow. Got the crushed garlic. So I put that in there too, because cilantro is in a lot of Asian. And so I'm just going to stir it up just like Dawn did, because it needed that oil. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing with the chicken, just like Dawn is doing with hers. Although mine's chopped up because again, it's sweet and sour chicken. Mine is chopped up. What I did also, I was going to tell you another good money saving tip is our local grocery store does what they call manager specials. And you can eyeball the oil to see if there's, you just want to kind of coat it so that they can absorb the seasonings. But they have something called manager specials. And basically what it is the meats are starting to, the proteins are starting to get to the best by use date. So they mark them down significantly. Well, what I will do when I find something like that is I will bring it home. And if I'm not going to use it right away, I will put it in the freezer. I will stick it into a freezer bag, mark it, and then I can keep an inventory of what I have. So I make sure that I use it within the next 3 to 4 months. But it's a great way to save money on your protein because we all know how prices are going up. It's a great way to save money and I have it on hand. All I got to do is pull it out, thaw it out, and I've got it to use.
Yeah, Pam, I love all your tips. And it's funny how you're so different than I am. I'm much more likely to follow the recipe more to the T. And it sounds like you have changed that whole darn thing. So we have
my mom taught me look in the fridge and figure out something good to make.
I love that you did that. And so with the Better Choices Pam program that Pam has referred to, we are kicking that off. Pam and I have teamed up to give the nutrition side in case you need advice and help on the recipes and getting good nutrition into your diet, both the macros and the micros, the vitamins and minerals, the calories, and what ratio of the macros, because both of us are a little bit past the age of 50 and it's the time when belly fat really starts to become an issue. And I don't know about you, Pam, I don't think you've suffered with, I haven't noticed this for you, but I'm just going to talk about myself. I tried changing things in my diet, my exercise program, and what I was doing wasn't working. And I discovered the vegetable side of that whole thing. Adding those vegetables has really made a difference for me in terms of my body composition and making sure I get the protein. So these are the things that we would like to help you with if you need help. And then on the side of the exercise, this is Pam's expertise. She was giving me some tips today. She's really an expert in helping people modify exercise if you need to, but doing the kinds of exercise that you need to do to be successful. So we're going to
I'm going to
help
give you a little tip too, what I did. If you're like us, we like things a little bit spicier, like you were talking about. There's a good hot oil that I just a little bit on the chicken. That's going to add a little bit more spice to the recipe. So if you like it like that, if you like it a little bit spicy, what I say is experiment, play with it. Not everything turns out. A lot of times you'll find you have a new favorite. Anyway.
And what we're doing is we're giving some suggested recipes that have good ingredients that you may or may not like. And I've never been a fan as a dietitian of giving somebody a sheet of paper and saying, you need to eat like this, because most people have their cultural differences. They have their own likes and dislikes. They have their own schedules. So we're going to be offering suggestions that put you in the expert seat of your own nutrition for your family, so that you can make some choices maybe that are better than you're making now, or just tweak things a bit. Most of us, if we're trying to eat healthy, we're doing pretty darn good. We just need to tweak things a little bit. So I love the tips you're sharing, Pam. And this is just what we're going to be doing on a Facebook page. We have a membership program, and it ranges from just a little bit of information to pretty much individualized, and the middle one being those that need accountability. So we're really happy to offer that, and the link will be in the post that we have tonight after we're done.
Exactly. This is going to go in just like Dawn's. It's at 425, and then we're going to make a little sauce over it, and voila. I'm also going to show you a little bit of, I got a tip too. Yours is simple too, Dawn.
It's simple. Look at it. It's pretty. I always say the more color, the better, because the color is where the nutrition is. So I didn't see your colors, Pam, but I know there's a lot. If you did all those peppers and pineapples and all those great things. So this is fun.
I'm just checking the time because it's 25 minutes till it's done.
And I think, yeah, and mine is the same. So it cooks pretty quick. So pretty much it's just put it together, put it in the oven. If you need to chop ahead of time, you can chop ahead of time. So these recipes, I think you'll like.
So when you take yours out, is it all done then, Dawn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all done. And I just take that parchment paper, throw it away, and give the pan a little bit of wash, because some oil might have gotten on it. But I really just have a couple bowls to put in the dishwasher and one to wash. So it's a really easy cleanup too.
So that's what I love about parchment paper, and you don't use aluminum foil. So,
yes,
because I know aluminum foil has some things, but what this one it does is you're going to make a sauce while it's cooking. Like I said, 25 minutes. So just check my watch. You're going to take a drained can. It calls for 2 8-ounce cans of pineapple tidbits. I never see a small can like that. This is a 20-ounce can of pineapple tidbits. We're going to take the pineapple tidbits, and you're going to put them in a large bowl, which I forgot, of course. Nope. You're going to put them in a large bowl, and you know what? They were supposed to go in with vegetables.
It's not too late. Get them out and throw them in.
I'm going to throw them in there real quick. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, go for it.
Now I'll show you how to do it. They were supposed to go with vegetables. This is what happens when you're talking while you cook.
So both of the meals that we made tonight, if you like to prepare ahead, if you like to chop ahead, some people like to chop for the whole week. You could easily do that with onions and squash and Brussels sprouts. So I love the fact that things can be prepared ahead of time and make it even faster as far as putting it together. But we're going to have some more sheet pan recipes like Pam, right? And we're also going to cook more on our Facebook page that's associated with our Better Choices program. So we're going to have fun with this. So hope you like to have fun and cook. Maybe you'll cook with us. That would be awesome to have somebody cook with us.
Now I can make it. So we take from the pineapple, and we're going to make it so we have 1 full cup of liquid. You're going to put that in a pan. And then it calls for soy sauce. Again, I'm changing it up a little bit. It called for ginger garlic paste. So what I'm going to do is just take a tube of ginger, and I don't measure either. Sorry, guys. The measurement will be in the recipe, but I don't measure. I just dump. And like I said, I do have some minced garlic. I didn't have time to squish this one. So I just put the minced garlic in there because I added that. It didn't call for it. 1/2 cup of brown sugar.
That sounds good.
No, then it did call for chili garlic paste. I have gochujang, which is kind of like a chili garlic paste. And it called for ketchup. And okay, confession to make, we don't have a lot of ketchup in our house. We don't use a lot of ketchup for some reason. So I use sriracha. I just won't use as much because we like things spicy anyway.
There's always substitutions too. You know, I've started cooking a few times and I don't have that ingredient. So you can always Google substitute whatever for whatever. And, you know, Google will help you out with that if you don't have one of the ingredients.
So we got rice wine vinegar that I put in there too. And then what you're gonna do is and then you take a little bit of white pepper. There is black pepper in the recipe, but it also calls for white pepper. White pepper has a different taste. It has a much more salt taste. Tastes fantastic. And then because you know the sweet and sour chicken's a little bit thicker, you're going to take just a little bit, about 3 tablespoons of this liquid that you've created. And while this is heating up, you're going to take that 3 tablespoons into 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm going to put 4 just to make sure. Again, like I said, I don't follow my recipe. I'm turning this up on medium.
Why do you have recipes, Pam? I'm not sure why you have a recipe, just for a general guide.
Recipes are to inspire ideas. That's what. Okay. And then you just make a little paste. See, I don't think it's quite thick enough. So that will probably have just a little bit more liquid to it. But what this is going to do is when my sauce starts to simmer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir this into it and it's going to thicken it. And then once I pull our dinner out, I'll just drizzle it all over and squish it all together and it'll be fantastic. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to bring up too, because typically a lot of times when you have something Asian like sweet and sour chicken, you're going to put it on rice, which is fantastic. I got curious. So what I did is I steamed a head of broccoli. Remember I told you I'm always trying to figure out how can I add more vegetables to my food? So I steamed a head of broccoli. Can't use that one. I'm just going to show you in this one so that you can see. And I took a potato ricer. If you've never seen a potato ricer, you're probably young. My mom used to use this with mashed potatoes. You boil potatoes, you put a potato in here and they would come out almost like in strings. And it was the best way to absorb the gravy. It absorbed the gravy even better than mashed potatoes. It was fantastic. And I went, can you do that with cauliflower? So I steamed a head of cauliflower. What I found out, first of all, cauliflower has a lot more water in it than potatoes do. So what you need to do is you need to have 2 bowls ready. So you're going to put it into the ricer, and you can literally find these at Walmart. So they're still available. Let me grab another bowl and I'll show you what happens. But it's an option if you want to add more vegetables. When I started to squeeze it, a lot of water came out first, and the cauliflower didn't really come out. But what I found is when I opened it up, and I don't know if you can see this, you can see that? If you take it now and you just start going like this and scrape it out with a fork, it comes out with a rice consistency.
Oh,
actually put your.
I was expecting it to come out the bottom. I've never seen a ricer.
It didn't. I was expecting it to come out the bottom too. Again, like I say, experiment. It didn't come out the bottom, but when I scraped it out like this, it came out with consistency.
Yeah.
Like putting it on rice. Now I'm going to warn you, right? Cauliflower does not taste like rice. It doesn't. But it also absorbs a lot of the flavor of the stuff that you put on it. I add more veggies, and maybe you're a keto person and you don't want to do a lot of carbohydrates. You can skip the rice. This cauliflower like this is fantastic. And then just throw your sweet and sour chicken on the top of it. It's fantastic.
I love that, Pam. I love that because both are bland. You know, you could see that as the substitute. Rice is bland and cauliflower is bland. It's really the bland part that you want. So that I would think with all those flavors with spice and chili and all that, that's really going to absorb and just be a really nice bland addition. I love that alternative.
Exactly.
That's so good.
Well, I will tell you guys, because you know, like I said, when Dawn's comes out, it's done. When mine comes out, it's done. I'm not going to make you wait around for it all, but what we'll do is we will post pictures in the comments of what it looked like when we pulled it out and got it all ready.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add, Dawn?
I don't think so. I guess happy National Eat Right Day. And
I have a question for you. Wait, I forgot we were going
try these and let us know what you think.
We were talking about the better choices and how we want to help you basically with healthy aging. It's more where our focus comes from now. So I just wanted to ask you, Dawn, what is healthy aging to you?
Mhm. Yeah, so I would say healthy aging for me at this stage of life is probably different than it would have been when I was 20 and you would have asked me that question. So what healthy aging means to me is being able to keep running, to stay extremely active, to hike, do whatever I like to do, not be limited in any way, feel good, sleep well. Of course, I want my skin to look as good as it can look, and I use products on my skin, but I think our skin, a lot of it is affected by the nutrition that we eat and the vegetables and the phytonutrients and the water that we drink. So, of course, I want that skin to look as good as I can and avoid the wrinkle stage or whatever. But I think the biggest thing on my list is to really stay active and not be limited. That's
Exactly.
healthy aging to me.
And that's basically
What about you?
to me, healthy aging is being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I have horses. I want to be riding horses when I'm 80 and 90 years old.
Yeah.
And the key is, everybody wants to live longer, but I want to live better. I want to be better and able to do those things. If I'm in a wheelchair and I can do nothing except sit, I don't want to live that long, but I want to live healthy. I want to be able to do what I want to do. And there's no cheating death. We're all going to die. Sorry, but it's how we live between our dashes and what we can do between the dashes that makes a difference. That makes it.
Yeah. And this is part of it. So we just showed you one part tonight. If you're interested in the other aspects of healthy aging, check out the link that we're going to give you. You can get some time with us to check things out a little closer if you want to, but we're just really here to serve your needs. And if it's a lot or a little, we have options for everybody. So this has been fun, Pam. We're going to do this again.
Yes.
And we'll see what I follow the recipe and cook next time and what you wing it and make your own with your meal. We'll see that next time.
And
Been fun.
what the better choices is all about. It's about helping you make better choices. So
That's
what
it.
you do is create better habits, and then you'll have a better life.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody. Good night, Pam.
Thanks, Dawn. This was fun. Wish I could taste yours. I wish I could taste yours.
I know, same. I'm going to make it.
All right. Don't forget to post your pictures. You guys have questions, put them in the comments.